Welcome to the Osmo Early Bird Podcast. I'm your old pal Emac coming to you on a Tuesday morning for those of you making your morning commute. Really recording this Monday night. And if you check out the YouTube channel early, happy Monday, happy Tuesday, whenever you're listening to this. Adam, talk to me. What's going on? We haven't chatted for a whole 48 hours.
Yeah, been a while. Excited to be doing another show with you. 5-game slate. I hate when the Knicks play. I hate when the Hawks play. I hate when the Grizzlies play. And somehow we got all three of them in 5 games.
Yes, it's and you can add Detroit to the mix too. Although at least we'll get to it. But we know we can go to Drummond or Griffin. But good God, what are they doing with the rotation? And Langston Galloway revenge. Does that trump Ish Smith and Reggie Jackson? I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. But got some injury news here. We're, of course, as I mentioned, recording this the night before. The only team that is on a back-to-back is the Indiana Pacers, I believe. So I'm looking through this. So we know that Victor Oladipo was out on Monday. He's now missed, I think it's almost 7 or 8 games at this point. It's been quite a few. Miles Turner and, I almost said Arvydas Sabonis. Arvydas Sabonis' son are both active on Monday. We know that Gary Harris is going to be a questionable game time decision with an ankle injury that he picked up over the weekend. For Toronto, they finally got the return of OG Anunoby and CJ Miles from wrist and groin injuries, respectively. They both played. They're listed as probable, but just a reminder, they're both coming off injury. Let's see. Hassan Whiteside, Adam, did not treat me very well on Sunday. Sunday or Saturday, I forget which day, but he played 12 minutes, 2 points, 5 rebounds. Horrible game. He was 1 for 5 from the field, missed both his free throws. But Whiteside, they said in the little blurb that he's been dealing with some knee tendonitis. Now we'll want to keep an eye on that because, who knows? But that could crop up, and we have just 5 games here, so we'll want to be aware of anything. Let's see. Tyler Johnson has been ruled out with a hamstring injury already, and Goran Dragic is out again with his knee injury. From Atlanta, Poitras is going to be out with an ankle injury, and then Bazemore and Len are expected to play with an ankle and a back injuries, respectively. Any other ones that I may have missed?
No, I think that got all of them.
All right, and yes, I do know it's Domantas Sabonis, but that was Arvydas Sabonis was like a myth that. Because for whatever, obviously, there was this thing called the Wall, Adam, the Berlin Wall, the Cold War, and Russian athletes couldn't come over and play in hockey or NBA. But Sabonis was this giant guy that you'd only see in international competition. And by the time he got to the NBA, he was broken down because all sorts of knee injuries and such, but he was pretty slow still, but he still had amazing footwork, and his passes were just phenomenal. He had this one that he'd do kind of behind his head and just hit guys in stride as they were going to the basket. It was almost like no-look pass. It was just amazing. But anyway, sidetracked already. Who knew? We'll go position by position here because I need to stay focused. So let's start off here with point guards. Adam, the floor is yours. What are you looking at to build your lineups for Tuesday?
Yeah, kind of not the prettiest position. I mean, Mike Conley in a tough matchup against Toronto kind of stands out at the top, I guess. Like 7,700 is a pretty nice price tag on DraftKings for him. Should get around 36 minutes, leads the team in usage. Difficult matchup, but it just not a lot to like here. Jamal Murray against the Lakers should play 36 to 38 minutes in a nice spot there. Obviously can go to Trae Young in tournaments. He has, monster upside, but you're always running the risk with him of, essentially him getting benched in game for Jeremy Lin. So purely a tournament play. I think Conley, Murray, and then, you can throw Lonzo in there at 5,600. Tough matchup, pace down game against Denver, but, should play 33 plus minutes as long as he's playing reasonably well, which would make it, pretty easy for him to pay off that price tag.
All right. Looking up and down the list, I find it intriguing that they now have Justice Winslow listed with that point guard, small forward eligibility. Also joining him with that designation is Kyle Anderson, of all people. That one seems a little bit odd. But Dwayne Wade was back. He missed, half a dozen games for birth of his child, and I think he had some minor injury, but he's back. Returned to the team when they were in Chicago, had kind of a meh game. Jeremy Lin's price is really up on DraftKings now. He's at 4,700, but he's earned it. He's definitely earned it. He's gone over 30 fantasy points in 2 of his last 3, including 48 fantasy points against Boston. Atlanta just seems content to lose, so he is getting a lot of minutes there at the end of games. We have Fred Van Elite, not so elite, Adam, although he was against the Wizards, that's for sure. I watched almost that whole game where they were playing Toronto. I don't know why I ever started calling Fred Van Vliet Fred Van Elite. He's not elite.
No, he's a good like NBA role player for what he does.
Yes, it's fun to say it. And it's fun to have the contest. By the way, almost won and ended my misery. Lost by 2 points, but finished second. It was good. Seth, shout out to you for melting down on Twitter. It's always fun when that happens. Looking through the rest of these positions, we kind of started in on some of the cheap guys, but Monte Morris, a little bit interesting. Corey Joseph, if Oladipo is out again. Emmanuel Mudiay is getting more run, and there was an interesting little write-up that I saw this weekend that Fizdale, their coach, he feels confident in Mudiay, and Mudiay is blossoming with the coach's confidence. But hell, he's gone over 25 fantasy points in 3 of the last 4, and he get 30 against Memphis, 46 against New Orleans. I guess we have to think about him again, or is this about the time when the music stops and we're left without a chair?
I mean, it's still Emmanuel Mudiay. I have no issue playing him. He clearly has upside at a still inexpensive price tag, and it's certainly not a bad matchup against Detroit. You just have to keep in mind that even in those 2 good games, he played 28 minutes and he played 24 minutes. In the one against Memphis, he actually played it looks like a bunch of minutes, assuming Popcorn Machine's correct, which it has had some mistakes recently. But he played, it looks like a bunch of minutes alongside Trey Burke, which would be good for Mudiay moving forward. No, I guess he actually just played the last 5.5 minutes. They closed together. Burke ended up playing 29 minutes. So the point being, though, like, it's not like you're getting a bunch of minutes from Mudiay when he plays well. You're still getting, 24, 28 minutes. So on top of the fact that he's an inconsistent player, the minutes still aren't huge. So I don't have an issue with him, but it's certainly not someone that I'm, overly excited about.
Yeah, last guy I have down here in the bargain bits, and again, we're the injuries that we have already are not opening a ton of things because it's mostly guys that have been out consistently. So things have already been priced accordingly. Now this is the NBA, so something will happen. Someone will catch a cold or something like that. Something will pop. It always does. But Aaron Holiday, if you're looking for a placeholder guy on DraftKings, he has been decent in his 4 games thus far in his NBA career. He's averaging just shy of 25 fantasy points per game. He's getting about a point per minute. He's playing about 22 minutes per game. So that's intriguing to see. I'm okay with him as a placeholder, but that's about all he is, in my opinion. And Oladipo needs to be out for him to have any relevance. Anything else for the point guard position now?
Yeah, I mean, Trey Burke is still firmly in play as well. Got 29 minutes, but still cheap, still getting up a ton of shots with that second unit. Has about a 33% usage rate since that whole lineup change, 5 or 6 games ago. And it's a nice matchup with Detroit. Also a team that runs multi-guard lineups. So it wouldn't be surprising at all to see him close alongside Mudiay.
All right. Speaking of multiple guards, let's go to the shooting guard position. Tyreek Evans, is he ever going to do anything with his opportunity? I don't know, Adam. I don't know. It feels like he is too good of a player, but his results have just been horrible. It's like he and Eric Gordon conspired to forget how to shoot the basketball this season. I like Tim Hardaway getting up there at 6,500, but, he's going to get a ton of the shots here for the Knicks, and he's never met a shot he didn't like. I am okay with Jamal Murray, particularly if Gary Harris is out. It's nice that he has the dual position eligibility here. He's got an interesting matchup going against the Lakers. And then with everybody else out, Rodney McGruder, good God, his price is down. Remember when it crept over 6,000? It's back to a much more manageable 4,900 on DraftKings, but minutes should be there for him. Does he do anything with them? I don't know. That's the wild card. But he's someone I think we can keep on our short list as we wait for better options to appear. What else do you like here at the 2 guard?
Josh Richardson is appealing against Atlanta. Obviously we'll get some ball handling with James Johnson back, with Wade there. Those are guys that also handle the ball, but Richardson has been more aggressive offensively this year, looking to score. And this is just obviously a huge pace-up game against Atlanta. Richardson's still going to play big minutes. So I'm interested in him. You mentioned Hardaway. I like him plenty. It's a good matchup there. Nice matchup for Tyreek Evans. The issue is just that Indiana is one of these teams that even without Oladipo, it increases the per minute production for Evans, but there's still so many different ways that they can go to close games and so many different rotations that they can use. Aaron Holiday has been playing really well for them, and it's made it so he essentially backs up Darren Collison. It lets them swing Corey Joseph away from being the backup point guard, so he gets all his minutes, at the 2 alongside either Collison or Holiday, and it kind of just makes it so that Evans isn't forced into big minutes, and any given game can play anywhere between 24 and probably like 32 minutes. So there is certainly risk, but the price tag I think accounts for that, and it is a nice matchup against Phoenix. So if Oladipo's out, I would have no problem going right back to Evans here.
All right. Only other guy I kind of am interested in is Kent Bazemore, and that's mainly because he does have 40 fantasy point upside. A lot of these guys down in the dregs do not, but Bazemore is incredibly hit or miss, and he has been a lot more miss thus far this season. Really inconsistent minutes, especially when you consider he's a starter. I mean, and he started – so last game he came off the bench against Charlotte, played 24 minutes. He started the 2 games before that, had a combined 24 minutes. What the hell is going on in Atlanta, Adam?
Yeah, it's just an insane rotation. I mean, they're playing as many guys as they possibly can. I've just completely been staying away from it with the exception of John Collins.
Yeah, what a mess. And with Poitras out, Collins should see. Let's see, Dedmon's back, Lynn's back. Yeah, Collins would really be the only one I would trust. Moving on to the small forward position, of course, we have LeBron up at the top. Played 40 minutes on Sunday. That, if you had LeBron and Vucevic, you had a pretty decent day there. Looking at LeBron, Kawhi, TJ Warren up here at the names, shall we say. That's a dramatic drop off in price. What do you like amongst these guys? I don't, and the question in there is, I don't really like the idea of paying for LeBron going into Denver, where they've been playing much better defense, altitude, and he's been just taking a boatload of minutes. They actually gave him Monday off from practice.
The issue is just how bad this position is if you look beyond LeBron. I mean, you have Kawhi, who's fine, but he's going into a really slow-paced game against a good defense in Memphis. On DraftKings, you can go to Tim Hardaway, Josh Richardson. I already said I like, but it's just not a great position. It's not an ideal matchup for LeBron, but he's just so much better than every single player that I'm still very, very interested in him.
All right, down at the lower end here, James Johnson, 4,000, somewhat intriguing. If my memory serves, they said something along the lines of, we don't think he'll play much over 25 minutes in any game as he works back into shape after he had his injury, but still 4,000, that's not a bad price point. We have Mikal Bridges, who has been – is he still starting? Let me look here. He started 5 of the last 6 games. So if he's starting, he's interesting. If he's not starting, they're another team, they being Phoenix. God only knows what they're doing with their people outside of Warren and Booker. But all right, I'm leaving you with this, Adam. Juancho Hernangomez. No, he's playing 30 minutes or more a game.
Yeah, I don't really care. His price tag is just up and off where, like, he's had some good games lately. If Harris is out, I guess it makes him a little bit more appealing. But he's just not someone that ever is going that projects as someone that should be playing as well as he is. He's not a high usage guy. He's not really a high rebound guy. He doesn't do a whole lot, and his price tag has come up, and people keep rostering him. So it's a nice spot, obviously, against the Lakers. The minutes should be there, but he's just not someone that I plan on being very interested in.
Did you ever think Taurean Prince was good? I thought he had the potential to be good. He's horrid this season.
Yeah, he hasn't been great. I'm sure that the rotation hasn't done him any favors either.
Yeah. Well, when DeAndre Bembry's been outperforming you, frightening. All right, power forward. Here's where we get to some fun names. Up at the top here, Blake Griffin. I do really like this matchup. He dropped 11 assists in his last game, Adam. That is always exciting. No guarantees of that happening again. I think that was the most. It's a season high for him. Pascal Siakam kind of had a dud there against the Wizards, but he is another name that I've come to be fond of clicking on. Except he's going into Memphis. Memphis is playing the slowest pace of the year or of the season in the league. Paul Millsap, intriguing, but inconsistent production of minutes. Noah Vonleh, 5,600 now. He's not 4,900, 4,700, and 4,300 like he had been. This is a mess, Adam. This is just a mess. What do you like here? First off, is Blake a core play?
Tough. I mean, probably not. It's obviously tough without having built lineups yet. Too early to really have any idea who I'm playing in a core, but I do really like the spot for Blake. It's not a good New York defense. Like you said, he does pick up a lot of assists. He's actually their leader in assist percentage this season. He's one of the better rebounders in the NBA. He obviously is one of the highest usage guys on the team, or is the highest usage guy on the team. So it's a great spot for Blake. It all, as far as a core goes, it'll just come down to roster construction-wise if you end up getting to LeBron or if you save money at small forward, et cetera. So I like Blake a lot. Behind him, Jaren Jackson Jr. has been playing really, really well. Still inexpensive. Very difficult matchup with Toronto, but still have interest there. And for Noah Vonleh, I think it's a pretty decent bounce-back spot here against Detroit. He was, in effect, he wasn't great against Memphis, but he also was in foul trouble that game. But it just wasn't a game where you would expect him to be all that good anyway. Like, Memphis is just a really good defensive team, but the minutes should still be here against Detroit. He's been trusted to defend like high usage centers. So I don't think they'll have any issue letting him defend Blake. And as long as he stays out of foul trouble, he seems like the guy that they would trust to do it, which would mean as many minutes as he can handle. So I think it's a really nice bounce back spot here for Noah Vonleh.
Looking at his game logs are just an exercise in inconsistency, but he has really, really been good since they put him in the starting lineup. Coming into that Memphis game, he had 3 straight double-doubles with multiple three-pointers made. He was averaging just shy of 3.5 combined blocks and steals across those 3 games. It's some impressive numbers there.
Well, and he does a lot of things reasonably well that the Knicks as a whole don't. He's a competent defender where they don't have bigs that can defend. You have Enes Kanter and you have Robinson who fouls anytime he tries. So he adds value there. He's a competent passer. He can actually handle the ball a bit, and they don't really have any good passers on the team, so that helps. And he can space the floor a bit, and they don't really have a lot of spacing. So he just does so many things that help them, as a team, that it makes sense for him to get a bunch of minutes. Playing alongside Enes Kanter going forward, I expect his rebounds to kind of fluctuate because Kanter is a good rebounder, and obviously when he's on the floor, he's playing the 5, but still enough rebounding opportunities for Vonleh combined with assist opportunities because of having the ball in his hands that, he just does, in addition to scoring, he does enough stuff that as long as he isn't fouling and as long as he's reasonably priced, it gives him a pretty nice floor, and then he'll just blow the salary away when he's making shots.
Let's use Enes as our transition player. He has been in the starting lineup for the last 4 games. In such time, he is averaging a double-double, culminating in a glorious 40-minute, 21-point, 26-rebound performance in Memphis. That was probably because they needed him drastically in the down low. But I'm looking at it, that was his second 2020 game of the season. That's pretty crazy. The fact that he bounces in and out of the starting lineup so much, I just don't fully understand that. I mean, I get that he's a defensive liability, but the Knicks, break one off for the Knicks. They've won their last 3.
Yeah, and realistically, him going to the bench earlier in the year was simply because they wanted to develop Mitchell Robinson. They know that there's a better chance that whenever the Knicks are good again, Mitchell Robinson's on the team than that Enes Kanter is. It just kind of didn't work out. And so now we're back to Kanter. And you're looking at 33 plus minutes a night. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, he's incredibly productive. The price tag is still reasonable because of how much time he spent on the bench. It hasn't come all the way back up. So as a ceiling play, still just a really strong option.
All right. It doesn't seem like there's as many screaming values here at the center position. Of course, we've got I don't know about screaming values, but Jonas Valanciunas has been in the starting lineup the last 3 games. He has performed very well. He is sitting there at 5,300 on DraftKings. We've got DeAndre Ayton, who is at 7,100. He gets an intriguing matchup there against the Pacers, who will be on a back-to-back. And those guys make my short list along with Noah Vonleh. Nobody else really makes me want to do cartwheels. But we gotta give consideration to Drummond, Jokic, and Gasol, because they're clearly the 3 most talented guys that are mainly at the center position. I guess we could throw Blake Griffin in there on multi-position eligibility sites. So if you're looking at those guys, this was slightly different than what we've seen on DraftKings over the last few weeks. Would you spend up at the center position on this particular slate?
Yeah, this is a slate where I think that's exactly what I want to do because I like guys at the top so much. You mentioned Drummond. It's obviously a very, very good spot for him, but I don't know that you even have to go that high because we have a phenomenal spot for Jokic in a pace-up game against the Lakers, and he's just one of those guys that he can fully take advantage of pace-up games. It's always appealing for anyone because there's at least going to be more rebounding opportunities. But someone like Jokic, he rebounds, he scores, he also passes. He's an excellent passer, and so he can really make the most of those extra possessions. The price tag also is very affordable at 8,800 on DraftKings. So I absolutely love Jokic. But also in tournaments, don't sleep on Hassan Whiteside at 8,200. Obviously coming off of a couple of awful games, one where he was in heavy foul trouble, then he had a tough matchup with Toronto. But the upside clearly is still there, and this is just such a different spot going against an Atlanta team that'll have Dwayne Dedmon and Alex Len at the 5 against Whiteside. If he gets 30, 32 minutes here, he can go for 50-plus fantasy points, and I imagine he won't be that popular because of the depth of the position and because of how ugly the game logs are.
JaVale McGee in Denver. That sounds like fun. But we do have Tyson Chandler taking away a ton of minutes, so the fun is now over. Only other guy I'm seeing that's intriguing is Serge Ibaka. He is going against Memphis. Do you think that they'll keep – but I mean, they almost have to keep Valanciunas in the starting lineup against Gasol, don't they?
I'm not sure what they'll do because Gasol, obviously, he's like a more traditional center, but he also spaces the floor, and normally that's who you don't want Valanciunas on the floor against. So – yeah, I would say it's probably 50-50 who they end up going with.
Yeah, I'm looking and seeing the last 3 games, who they've played. The Mets in Atlanta, the Mets in DC, and then Miami. So I guess having him go start against Whiteside made sense. But all right, interesting. Well, that'll be one to keep an eye on. You've got the deep dive that you will be writing for Tuesday. We, of course, buried the lead here, the Osmo Early Bird podcast. Use the promo code EarlyBird, all one word, and you can get a full week of free Osmo premium content that does include the Fantasy Cruncher add-on. If you select that weekly package with that, use the promo code EarlyBird, and you will get hooked up. Well worth it. Tiny chance that you can still use Cyber Year to get 12 months of content for a 10-month price, and Cyber Day. Those probably expired at midnight on Monday, but I'm guessing whenever the guys on the back end wake up tomorrow, or today, I guess now, if you're listening to it, should still be active. So there you go. Your last little pre-holiday gift here. Any final thoughts, Adam, before we get on out of here?
Be sure to check out the deep dive article. Should be out around 3 p.m. And then the deeper dive show with Lofty and myself at 5 Eastern.
All right. With that, gamers, you can follow Adam at ShipMyMoneyDFS. I am at EMACDFS, and it is, of course, at Osmo_COM on the Twitter machine. Good luck.